Welcome to the CCTV Public Access Sports Show with Dan and Stu. Here are your hosts, Daniel Hendler and Stuart Friedel.
Hello and welcome to Claremont Television.com presents, I don't even know what it's called anymore, the Public Access Sports Show with Dan and Stu, presented by Bam Bam, Sylvia and Lewis.
Yes, that's
Brought
the
to
names.
you-
Those are the names.
I don't know if all of them presented. Brought to you today, special guests by the Howard brothers, Brett and Sander Howard, whose birthdays are May 5th and 7th. Well, not respectively, May 7th and 5th, respectively.
Wow, how many years apart?
I don't know, 3, 4, 3, 3. Although, I'm going to call Sandy out on this one. Lied about his birthday on Facebook, claimed it to be April 26th, got a bunch of wall posts. My best friend from elementary school's little brother, I remembered his birthday. I called him out on it on his wall.
Wait,
Deleted
why would
it
you
like
lie
a day.
about your birthday being like 3 weeks before it? Actually
Yeah, well, it's not even like the 6-month thing either. And,
That's
his
really weird.
cousins were wishing him happy birthday on his wall. That is
You can just go picking unless you're born on leap year or February 29th.
Well,
then you can pick March 1st or February 28th
I
for
mean,
the 3 years in
You
between.
can joke. I don't have a problem with the joking, but if you get called out, you should accept the fact
yeah,
that your
definitely.
joke is done.
Also, my mom, I don't really know. My mom asked me what the difference was between brought to you by and presented by.
Well, duh.
And I thought it was so obvious. It's like not even worth
I don't
mentioning.
think-
Okay. Good.
Um,
Anyway.
well,
So some
so
sports stuff is going on in the world of
well,
sports.
we should mention this is probably going to be one of our final shows.
Yeah.
We apologize we took such a long hiatus. We really took a long hiatus.
We wanted to perfect it. We wanted to work out some kinks.
The Village
you
Green
can see
Preservation
Stu's new
Society.
nose, which looks amazing, I think.
It was Dr. Champagne down in Beverly Hills. Did it for
Oh,
me.
he's good.
Also, we went last week and we saw David Chase and Matt Groening give a bit of a talk together at the
Exactly.
Writers Guild, courtesy of CCTV. CCTV paid for all but $10 worth of our tickets.
Each, $10 each.
Yep. So let's talk sports now.
So let's do let's hit
Housekeeping
some
going.
baseball first. And
He's back and he's in full force. It's a tour de force of
I
Hendler
was
comedy.
waiting so many weeks for that one.
Go for it. What do we got to hit?
Let's do fantasy, man. We promised them we give them updates in the fantasy league. We are both currently tied for first.
I haven't
our
been watching the
divisions.
fantasy, so I'm glad to know that.
Yeah, we're each of us are 3-1
Oh, great.
and tied with the Saigon evacuees, whoever they are.
It's a clever name, though. It is a clever name, though.
And I gotta say some surprises. I got mocked for my Kerry Wood pick in the
By
last
me?
round by you and Kramer, and I'm happy to say that he is doing well with I think 6 saves so far this year, 5 or 6.
I have a few guys I was expecting not to do so well that are doing really well, and a few guys I was expecting to do really well that aren't doing so well on my team. But Chase Utley, of course, coming through when I need him.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Jacobs. A lot of Marlins are doing much better than expected, as is the team.
They've been there've been some surprises so far, and it's always early. It's way too early to take it seriously, but it's always fun to look at the standings.
Yeah.
Like as of right now, Tampa Bay and Baltimore tied for first in the AL East.
Perfect.
And
love
I mean,
that.
Tampa Bay was my if you will look back at probably the last sports show, it was my dark horse to finish
3 months.
500. And I still think they're young pitchers. Sorenstam, they have Shields. I can't remember his first name. Not Scott Shields. Jason Shields, I think. And Scott Kazmir hasn't even pitched yet. And they got 3 very solid starters. They have Troy Percival in the bullpen.
Percy.
Yeah, coming back.
But
This is it's a solid team. And I think for the first time in a long time, wait till next year, and Tampa Bay is actually legitimately
having
next
a shot.
year.
Well, do you remember about 3 or 4 years ago, back when SportsCenter was good? So 5 or 6 years ago then. Kenny Mayne did a report. Like somebody batted went 2 for 5 their first day, and he did the quest for 400.
Yeah, it's the same kind of thing.
Exactly. I mean, granted, we're 20 some odd games in now, but still, that's 20 some odd games. That's being 2-0 in a football season,
But really, there is one team that I feel like that's distanced themselves and has proven themselves pretty worthy so far, and that's the Arizona Diamondbacks. Just their offense is destructive.
Unbelievable.
Dan Herron's been great. Brandon Webb has been awesome. They have scored the most runs, and their pitching has allowed the fewest runs thus far as of today into the season. So, and they obviously have the best run differential, which is incredible.
Right.
I mean,
Something to point out for
and the best record in baseball.
Something to point out for the Marlins is proof that they're not actually that good, although I probably shouldn't be pointing this out, is the fact that our run differential is negative right now. We have not scored that many runs. We have given up a lot of runs, more than we have scored. So the odds of us keeping this up are pretty slim.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? I've been enjoying the ride so far.
So who are your fantasy disappointments so far?
Prince Fielder.
Yeah.
I think that's it. He's the only guy that's really. Oh, and Victor Martinez hasn't been doing that great.
Victor Martinez, catcher for.
Yeah.
He's batting like 368, isn't he?
Oh, is he?
He's doing pretty well.
Actually,
I was going to say that my disappointment so far has been Mike Napoli, who's been just awful so far. And like he hits a home run. He's like kind of reminds me of Mike Cameron from a few years ago. He'll have like 1 2 home run game and then go 10 games without a hit, and then have another 2 home run game. But I actually chose between Napoli and Victor Martinez for my catchers, and I was like, I gotta take Napoli. And
I thought. Wait, do I have Victor Martinez? Maybe I don't have Victor Martinez.
You don't.
I thought I had
another Martinez, because Victor Martinez, the catcher for the Indians, is doing.
No. I know Victor Martinez is. I thought I had Victor Martinez, and I thought I chose him as the first catcher overall. But I couldn't.
No, I think you're wrong.
Maybe I just didn't know who Napoli was at the time, and I just assumed that I was taking the first overall catcher, which is very possible.
I mean, Napoli is not the. Yeah.
Not a household name.
Not great. It was a mid-round pick.
Do you ever listen to the BS report on the Bill Simmons Sports Report?
I try to stay away from Bill Simmons if all possible.
I was listening to it. I had a road trip a few weeks ago, and he did a pre-baseball one about who are the fantasy players that year after year you always think this is going to be their year, so you draft them higher than they should be, and they never pan out.
You mean the Arizona Wildcats of baseball?
Exactly, and he did of individual players of fantasy, and they did a starting lineup for the 90s. And it's very interesting. I can't remember a single one of them off the top of my head, but I really recommend you go back and listen if you're a fantasy baseball player in the 90s, because it was pretty funny.
Cool.
I don't know. I don't really have much more to say about baseball. It's still young in the season.
Yeah.
Too young to really predict anything. Too yoing to point anything out.
Should we even say anything about Roger Clemens? I assume you heard the news. For those that don't know,
very beautiful young lady.
Yeah. Apparently, when he was 28, began some sort of relationship with 15-year-old country singer. You got the name right?
Yeah, I spelled it.
Sorry.
This is phonetics.
Yeah. Anyway, now he's 48. She's in her 30s, but apparently went on for like a decade. And the funny thing is, Brian McNamee, his attorney, said they will use this against him. Because I guess the trial's about whether Roger Clemens is of good character or not.
Right.
This obviously relates back. Roger Clemens' lawyer says that they did have a relationship, but it was not sexual. I don't know what type of relationship a 28-year-old has with a 15-year-old.
Who's hanging? I feel creepy hanging out with freshmen at the 5Cs sometimes.
Yeah.
No offense, my freshman friends, my OA kids. But yeah, I mean, come on.
There's nothing else.
Is there more to be said?
I think we're going to take a break.
Hey, wait, Hannah Montana's midriff. Google it.
Oh, God.
Google it.
That picture.
Ugh, lordy. And Vanity Fair. She is all over the place, speaking of 15-year-old singers.
Really?
So, no.
So go Google that. Anyway, we'll be back in a second. Have some, more like a couple seconds, actually, with some fantasy, with some NFL draft analysis for you.
We got NBA playoffs after that and a season wrap-up.
Mm-hmm.
Stay tuned.
And we'll see you in a second. This is, again, the www.ClaremontTelevision.com presents the Public Access Sports Show, Whipped and presented by Bam Bam, Sylvia, and Lewis, brought to you by
the Howard brothers.
See you soon.
Is it on? No, is it recording now? Because it's only one of the cameras. It's on? Why are you getting, why is the shot like this? The shot could look better. I mean, do I have to look at the, people are gonna be looking at me at my show, okay? Kramer rants. They wanna see Kramer. Kramer rants. Not Brian plays with the controls. Not let's see what angles, what green screen we can do. That's not the name of the show. The name of the show is Kramer Rants on CCTV. Get it right, Brian. Stop messing with the cameras. They're gonna get confused. Well, I'm in white now. Oh! Come on, Brian. Figure it out. I'm just as pale. Are you making fun of my paleness? I don't want this. I don't want to be on this show anymore.
Welcome back to the CCTV Public Access Sports Show with Dan and Stu.
Welcome back to the ClaremontTelevision.com presents the public access sports show with Dan and Stu, presented by Louis, Sylvia, and Senor Bum Bum. Brought to you by the Sunshine Twins.
Howard.
The Howard Twins.
Sunshine. The Sunshine Twins.
That's what I like to call them, having never met them or heard of them before
Daydream.
today.
One day.
Well, we can only hope.
Well, NFL draft. So the NFL draft, Miami Dolphins first overall pick, Jake Long. By the way, I purposefully wore these shorts today. First time in a long time. The original Miami shorts. Just
the original shorts are back. I'm sure everybody was wondering about that.
Yeah, because
you can tell.
Oh yeah, if you know your Stu Friedel shorts, then you can tell. Jake Long went first overall to the Dolphins. What camera am I looking at? I don't even. this
Look
is
right here.
One of the zaniest shows we've ever had. We have special guest director today. That's probably why.
We'll give him a shout out at the end.
We will. Miami Dolphins take Jake Long first overall pick. What do you think?
I think it was a solid. Honestly, I like Chris Long a little bit better. I just seen him play more, but it looked to me like from everything I hear and seen that Jake Long was the way to go. I mean, that's what you want. You want to, when you're in the Dolphins position, you want a safe pick with the number 1 overall pick, and that's what you do. You don't. I think the thing you don't do is if you're the Oakland Raiders, take Jamarcus Russell. I think Bill Parcells knows what he's doing. I think it was the smartest pick in this draft.
He was a safe pick. He's already signed up for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
He shores up their offensive line, which is something the Dolphins have not had in a long, long time, by not just improving himself, not just giving himself, but he also lets Vernon Carey move over to the right tackle position, which is going to help a lot.
And aren't offensive linemen the least? I read an article about this one. It's like the least likely position to be a bust in the draft.
Recently, that is true.
Okay.
Although historically, wide receivers are, but recently, wide receivers are the most likely to be a bust. Ronnie Brown is the Dolphins' big point. He got injured this year, number 1. Number 2, you've always felt like he'd have that 250-yard 4-touchdown game, and then you wouldn't be sure if he could repeat it.
Mm-hmm.
You get a run blocker who's going to help him. Ronnie Brown stay healthy. He's going to help actually add some legitimacy to the run game. I think it's a fantastic pick for the Dolphins. I wouldn't have wanted them to pick Chris Long. The only other person I would have been happy with is Glenn Dorsey.
Mm-hmm.
I think Dorsey's a beast. I don't think he's as injured as people say he is. I think
he's going to be great. And a lot of people thought he would fall back to 6 or 7 and go to, I think, like the Jets or something like that. But I think they made, was it Minnesota?
Kansas City.
Kansas City, sorry, made a very smart pick by with that.
Bad pick was Darren McFadden, I thought.
Oh, I agree. But you know what? That was gonna be my most surprising pick, but at the same time, it's the Raiders. You could have predicted. They love drafting these flashy head cases.
The first 5 picks were a given. And that's what was shocking me is everybody's like, Glenn Dorsey, how did he slip so far? Did a single person think he wasn't going to slip
Well,
that far?
actually, a lot of people were surprised that Matt Ryan went for Atlanta, which I don't know why people have been knocking. Some people have been knocking Atlanta for taking Matt Ryan because you need a quarterback. There are no good teams in the NFL that succeed that have ever won a championship with a bad quarterback or no quarterback. The best team I can think of are the Chicago Bears, who made it all the way to the Super Bowl and then got crushed by Indianapolis.
Well, here's my question.
Look at the good teams in the NFL. Indianapolis, New England. The Giants had great talent, but they got good when Eli Manning stopped throwing interceptions.
Well, here's my question for you. Is Matt Ryan that stud that everybody says he is? People seem to think he's a second coming. Like, people are like, well, he's the only franchise quarterback in the draft this year. There's no franchise quarterbacks coming out next year. Like, what? Where did Matt Ryan become this god all of a sudden?
I don't know. I'm not saying he's going to be great, but I think where the Falcons were, it was worth taking that risk.
Well, you know who is going to be great? Who I can guarantee you will be great, unless he gets caught up in the Oakland Jamarcus Russell scheme is Darren McFadden. If the guy can deal with his character, he's going to be fantastic. And Atlanta would have been the kind of place where they're not going to take that at all after the Michael Vick thing. They desperately need a running back, I think.
Oh, they're not going to take it. That's why they didn't draft him, man. I mean, that you don't want to take that chance. You don't want to risk drafting another Michael Vick.
I guess that's true. I guess that's true. I mean, I would have taken D-Mac if I was Atlanta. And then you would have
seen. I like Matt Ryan. They need a quarterback, man. They desperately need a quarterback there. And quarterbacks it's a very risky pick. But I think it was for where they are, it's worth it because they have a relatively solid team. Otherwise,
I've been hearing good things about the kid. Apparently, he's obsessed with football. It was a quote I heard. It was in the Peyton Manning mold, which is like, of course, you want to hear those words.
Whatever. Yeah, that's what I was
saying. And I mean, he seems fine, but he doesn't. I'm just saying he doesn't seem like the obvious second coming pick. That I definitely think that you're correct in saying that everybody's being way too hard in Atlanta for saying it was a bad pick. I just don't think it was an amazing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I don't think it was amazing. I think it was what they needed to do, though. It was a pragmatic pick. There aren't any good free agent quarterbacks right now. I don't think there are any other, like you said, second coming quarterbacks this year or next year, and they need a quarterback. So I think it was good. I was surprised Rashard Mendenhall fell so far. I thought he was going to go to the Bears at, I think, the 16th pick, fell all the way to 23. The guy's good. He's got really talented, good kid apparently, and he just would have been just what they needed in Chicago. So surprised about that.
I think the Patriots made a bad pick. That Mayo kid.
Oh yeah.
It seems like a bit of a reach.
Trading down from I think 9 to 10. And the Giants, I think, were stupid not to pull the Jeremy Shockey deal. They weren't getting a whole lot for him, but they won the Super Bowl without Shockey.
If he doesn't want to be there, get him out.
Yeah, he brings the team down. They don't need him on the. Yeah, it was just get rid of him. Take what it's like Oakland last year with New England. Everyone looked at like, oh, New England got Randy Moss for nothing, but Oakland just had to get him out of there for something.
Exactly.
So.
But the Giants, who'd they take with their pick?
The kid from Miami.
Oh,
Kenny
Phillips.
Kenny Phillips.
The safety, he's incredible.
Yeah, he's good. I was happy with that pick.
Great pick.
With the last pick in the first round.
I said this for the next year or two. I think I said this to you. The Canes are going to draft a lot of guys who are going to go much later than they should because they've had this transition period with their coaches. They didn't get the chance to show what they can do in college. The Canes consistently have a top 2-3 recruiting class in the country. These kids that are coming out of there still have that talent, And like, if you're getting taken last pick overall in the first round this year, and you're a Cane, it probably would have gone top 15 or 20 if you were there, 3 or 4 years ago.
In one of the definitely. I mean, Colt Brennan, man. I mean, the kid, sixth round. I mean, obviously there were some injury issues, but a lot of those guys, because they play for Hawaii or they play for like Arkansas State as opposed to one of the big schools, like it'll hurt their chances. But I don't know. I'd like to see some numbers on that. If adjusting for how many players actually are drafted proportionally, if that actually matters coming from a big school or a small school.
Well, let's see what happens with Flacco.
Yeah, true.
Who got taken in the first round, and Henne dropped the Dolphins in their third pick of the draft.
Was that second round?
Second round, yeah, which I was shocked about. We passed up on him in the first pick. Took him in the second round. I wasn't expecting that he was going to be around for our third pick. Overall, fun draft to watch. Really a good crowd.
Much better than last year.
I am sold on the new commissioner.
Yeah,
sold on him.
No 6-hour first round or whatever that was last year. Good work, Mr.
Goodall. Everything that he's done so far, I've really liked. He's a bit conservative for me, but you know what? I like my sports conservative. I like my politics liberal. I like my sports conservative. I like
like your coffee.
I like my NL.
Strong, black, and proud.
Exactly. I like my NL baseball. I like my cheerleaders to have their stomachs not exposed.
And you like the Florida Marlins, the expansion Florida Marlins in the National League.
I don't like touchdown dances. I don't like spiking. I don't like Josh Howard talking about how he smokes pot in the offseason. I want my sports conservative and my politics liberal. So
how about short shorts in the NBA? I know you want those back.
Stockton retiring was such a...
And those low-angle cameras, too.
Humanity. Next up, we got an NBA. Speaking of which...
How was that for a transition? I'm on tonight.
Dan Hendler, man.
A little bit.
Taking a swing.
I'd call that a swish, actually.
Oh, Lordy. We got basketball wrap-up /
playoff. We'll do some postseason awards. We'll do playoffs.
We love you.
I don't think I'm ready to say that yet. We like you a lot. Hi, I'm Dan.
And I'm Stu.
Right now, you're in the middle of another hilarious episode of the CCTV Presents the Public Access Sports Show.
But make sure to stay tuned after this, because at 9 o'clock, coming up, part of Closed Circuit Television, is Ned Hallaby's Scene on Screen, the best movie show we have here on CCTV.
By far.
Stay tuned.
Welcome back to the CCTV Public Access Sports Show with Dan and Stu.
Welcome back to the www.http //www.Claremont
Is it backslash
Television.
or slash? Because nobody uses the other kind of slash anymore.
ClaremontTelevision.com presents the Public Access Sports Show with Dan and Stu, brought to you by Lou, Sylvia, and Bam Bam, presented by
The Howard Brothers.
The Howard Brothers, Ryan and
Brett and Sandy.
Howard.
Brett and Sandy.
Brett and Sandy. NBA.
Basketball.
Postseason awards. MVP. We're right down to business.
MVP. I'm gonna go with Chris Paul.
New Orleans.
From the Hornets. I mean, the kid turned around the terrible team. He's an unbelievable player.
Mm-hmm.
What he did for the city of New Orleans has been incredible. Great stuff.
I gotta go, even though it's the obvious pick. I gotta go Kobe. He's just, and I know there's always debate, most valuable and best player. I think Kobe is both. I think the Lakers without him are an 8 seed maybe with Gasol. People forget that they think it was Gasol that, they bring in Gasol, elevated them to the number 1 seed. The day they traded for Gasol, they were actually the number 1 team in the West.
Yeah, it does.
Which, I mean, it was all logjam there, but they were still Gasol was the finishing touch, but it's all Kobe, man.
Yeah, no, I
Gotta
agree
give
with
him
you.
credit.
I don't think either of us would be pissed off if the other person.
Oh, yeah, exactly. It's a toss-up.
Rookie of the year.
Kevin Durant.
I think it's the obvious choice.
The,
Al Horford.
Of the soon-to-be Oklahoma City Sonics.
Oh,
the guy's
God,
going to
we'll
lead.
get to that.
Give Oklahoma their first professional sports championship.
As much as I hate to say it, Horford deserves mention as well.
Your hatred towards the 05, 06, 06, 07 Florida basketball team is notorious.
Yep. And Coach of the Year?
I gotta go Phil. He's only won 2 Coach of the Year awards.
Because he's not a coach. He's a guy who just makes sure stars' heads don't get too high. He's a headmaster.
I mean, he kept, with all the talk about where the Lakers were in the offseason, with Kobe asking to be traded and everything like that, and all the mess they were in, I think he kept them together. And like I said, before Gasol got there, they were still a really, really good team. Which
Fair
is
enough.
surprising people.
I'm going to go Byron Scott.
Another, yeah.
It's obvious.
Who was named by the NBA as the Coach of the Year.
So really quickly, Sonics, what do you think about that? Disgusting, terrible, David Stern ruining the league? Or?
I mean, I'm not a Seattle fan. I live in the Northwest, but teams move, man.
But that's not what it's about. I mean, that's not. It's not.
There's no good guys in this mess. The Starbucks guy who used to own them sold them to Oklahoma City, and I mean, it was just obvious they would move there. And now he's suing the Oklahoma City group, saying, "Oh my, you guys, you promised me you wouldn't move the team." But he's not suing to save the team. He's suing for more money for himself. There are no good guys in this thing. I mean, I don't know. It's sad because people love sports in Seattle. People love the Sonics. I mean, it's been tough to love the Sonics recently, but
now they finally get a piece,
Yeah, with Kevin Durant. So it's
over/under on number of Heat wins the Miami need, that the Heat need before Riley's back on the bench.
I don't know. 30?
Well, let's see.
What do you need to get to the 8 seed?
Exactly. God.
He's just I personally hate Pat Riley.
Me too. Me too.
We're in agreement there. Quickly, playoffs. Do you have your finals pick? The Magic have already won their series. The Lakers have already won their series. We're still wrapping up some first rounds.
I mean,
anything you want to say? Any surprises? Anything going according to plan?
I said to Ian, my roommate, the first day that I had the Suns beating the Spurs, but the Spurs winning the championship. So, in my individual things, I picked the Suns to beat the Spurs. But overall, I picked the Spurs for my pick. I'm sticking with that claim, if that makes sense. No, I'm claiming the Spurs. The Spurs are going to win, especially now that they're up 3-1.
Yeah.
And by the time this is online, maybe up 4-1 or maybe 3-2. But I'm going with the Spurs. I'm going to go with Boston.
I'm going to go. My original pick was Utah out of the West. I love Utah. And the other thing I'm big about is margin of victory. Scoring margin, and Utah's the highest in the West, and the problem is their road record isn't great, but they're looking so good right now, and especially after they took 2 on the road at Houston to open that series. I'm sold on them. I think they can beat the Lakers. Deron Williams is just a beast. The Spurs look good. I would honestly, I still think the Spurs are going to make the championship series. I would love to see a Hornets Utah championship, just those 2 point guards going against each other would be amazing. And Atlanta's really surprised me, going 2-2. I think Boston's going to win that series 4-2, but maybe we could be looking at another. I don't think it's the same as the Mavericks versus Golden State last year at all. Yeah. But I think Boston is just the team to beat in that league, and it's
in
not like
the very weak
it's not like the fun pick, I guess, but it's like, and everyone wants Lakers Boston. I think it's going to be Jazz Boston. I think, I don't know. It's going to be a good series.
That it will. Next week, perhaps the
God.
final show in Claremont sports show history. We will be living together next year, so you might see a lot of stuff
Some updates, some
from a basement on a
podcasts.
hill. Some podcasts, indeed. So yeah, that's what we got coming for you next week. I'd like to give a shout out to Robin Margolis, our guest director today, who will be taking over the job of some sort of television-esque production next year with Tom Haviv, a veteran in the sports show. For the Claremont colleges, Kendall Fleischer is going to be involved, pretty hardcore.
And what's the name?